After the release of Idol's third studio album last year, Ultra Mono, it was pretty clear, to me at least, that they were really in need of a change of pace. Whether you loved, hated, or were kind of on the fence about that album, it found the band at their most excessive and extreme, kind of sounding like a cul-de-sac to the sound that they've been developing over the last two albums. Personally, it didn't do a whole lot for me anyway, feeling more like a Flanderization of the band's previous work rather than a meaningful progression in any way. But either way, it definitely felt like the band had pretty much hit a limit in terms of the direction that they'd been taking up until that point. And while there are a few tracks kind of here and there that carry the remnants of their old sound in Crawler, this is honestly, to me anyway, their most experimental and exciting release yet. It's only been about a year since Ultra Mono came out, but in that really short amount of time, the band have completely changed their style and attitude on this record. And although it doesn't reach the same consistent heights that they managed to achieve on Brutalism or Joy as an Act of Resistance, it features some career best material, as well as a divergence in style that has me far more excited for the future of the band than I was coming off Ultra Mono. The album immediately separates itself from pretty much anything the bands have done up until this point, with the absolutely breathtaking opening track, which is a haunting slow burn that recounts frontman Joe Talbot's nearly fatal motorbike accident. And this is a motif that the very foundations of Crawler are built upon. This crash becomes a catalyst for Talbot's reflections on his life. It brings him to a screeching halt that forces him to meditate on his struggles with addiction, trauma, and self-love. And through this, he manages to tell an extremely captivating and uplifting narrative in which he ends the record with a newfound sense of recognition and gratitude for his own life and mortality. And the anger that's felt at almost every corner of Ultra Mono is only used sparingly here, and it's done so in order to instead provide context to the narrative of Crawler, such as on the track The Wheel, which portrays the ruthless cycle of addiction that placed him in the very situation that he's seen in during the opening moments of the album. And these opening moments, as I mentioned before, are genuinely pretty horrific, with Talbot sprawled out on the side of the road, literally seeing his own spinal cord snapped.
The swell of heaven on my dashboard, I can see my spinal cord rip apart.
It's extremely effective, and it's also really important that this moment is shown so early on in the album. It's not seen as some climactic moment that leads to instant self-revelation, but instead, it's something that Talbot has to literally crawl away from, inches from death, and slowly begin his recovery. While I don't love every single moment of Crawler, and I wish it leaned further into the experimentation that the band feature on tracks such as MTT 420RR, The Beach Slam Ballroom, and Progress, this is honestly, in my opinion anyway, a really huge step in the right direction for Idols. Crawler shows Talbot at his most vulnerable. It's introspective, it's sincere, and it does an incredible job of depicting his journey from his absolute lowest moment towards recovery and ultimately self-actualization. While I don't think it's the band's strongest album, I think it would be near impossible for them to top Joy as an Act of Resistance, it's possibly their most exciting, and it hints towards an extremely bright future for Idols in the years to come, especially if they continue to expand on some of the things they began experimenting with on this album. And yeah, after not being such a huge fan of their last album, Crawler was a pleasant surprise for me, and I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what your thoughts on Crawler are, and also let me know what your thoughts are on this kind of style of review as well. If there's anything that I should change, if there's anything that you liked in particular. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.